aide with that blue tick. That's what I'm learning.
Thinking. Like, there's certain people I want to get in touch with that I don't think I would be able to get in touch with without that tick. People like, do you know Troye Sivan? He's an Australian dude living in South Africa and half in London.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's like one dude that I really want to get on this because I think he's a really fascinating mind. He's exactly the same age as me, I think by a month. And
you young people doing good things.
I know, it's crazy. And I think YouTube has allowed that to happen so much more. YouTube's allowing these young people to do crazy shit early.
You've got like a forum of ideas and, and people who give you the ideas and the personalities.
Yeah.
Like the world is so much a smaller place. Like I grew up, in the middle of nowhere-ish in like Victoria, outside of Melbourne, about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And even like, I don't want to sound like an old man, but even 10 years ago, like I didn't have wireless internet.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, there was no Facebook. There was no YouTube.
I didn't have wireless until 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I used to live in like the bushiest part of the Central Coast, and we had dial-up, like actual proper dial-up.
I remember actually that's our rule for like dating. If they're not old enough to remember dial-up, it's a deal breaker. But I guess in those kind of rural areas, it can be incredibly isolating because you don't have the people you really want around you. Like I said, like your high school friends, your friends because they're there. I remember when MySpace came around and I was about 19 or 20, and then I started making all these friends from it who are now to this day like real life friends.
Yeah.
Because you'd found people who lived on the other side of the world or the other side of the country who had similar interests, who liked the same music as you. You're like, oh my God, there's people who like this band.
Yeah.
You grow up in a country town, you're the only one who likes certain things and everyone else likes this. And you're like, I'm not like you. And,
yeah.
And all of a sudden there was this whole world of people who are like you. And that was when the off the rails year happened. It's like, oh my God, I found kindred spirits of some kind, I was at a gig when I first moved to Sydney. And the band are doing their thing on stage. And I'm like looking at one of the dudes and I'm like, I think I know that guy. I said to my friend, I'm like, oh, I think that's Travis from MySpace. And she's laughing on, you're so embarrassed. I go, it's totally him. I go, that's Travis. And then, like 2 minutes later, a guy tapped me on the shoulder and he's like, Billy. I'm like, hey. I'm like, you're Hugs from MySpace. And it turned out that this dude I was friends with from Sydney was the band's manager. And we had some like MySpace triangle in the room at once. And my friend's like, you're a loser. I go, well, no, now I have
Isn't
friends.
that amazing? Isn't that brilliant? When I was over in London, I had the pleasure of, there's a guy that I've been talking to on Twitter for about probably 18 months now, and we have very, very similar interests. He has ambitions to do similar to what I do.
Mm-hmm.
We're the same age, he likes pop music as well, but he lives on the other side of the world. So we met up when we were in London, got on like a house on fire.
Was it weird at the start?
It wasn't. That's the weird thing. Like, I thought it would be. I thought it would be awkward because you spent so much time talking on the internet. And I mean, the internet can sometimes make things awkward. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
I mean, talking just on the internet and the person's not all you thought they were going to be in real life. Exactly the same as on the internet.
That's so great.
Isn't that brilliant?
That's actually one thing I loved about the job when I had the job was not the getting recognised part, because I've always felt uncomfortable and never know what to say, and then just like, by some stranger goes, "Oh, you that guy?" Like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Well, not that anyone means anything, negative by it, but it's just always like, this is weird.
Did that happen a lot?
Not really. I'm fortunate in that I don't have a lot of distinctive features. I'm not a big tall blonde guy or crazy hair or a hot blonde babe or whatever. I'm just like a little guy that I just sort of like slink into a crowd and it's fine.
Yep.
But what I enjoyed was people that I had, like viewers, for instance, who I often contact and connect with online, come up and say, "Hey, I'm so and so. We're friends on Instagram or Twitter or whatever," and I know straight away who they are, and I've liked photos and we've shared stuff before, and to meet them in real life and be like, and it's never awkward. I could talk because you feel like you know these people.
Yeah,
I'd be more excited about meeting them than they would about meeting me. Like, I would just be like, "Oh my God, we need to get a photo," and you're this guy, and running into internet friends.
That's so good.
Because, like, I hate when people try to make it sound like, oh, a friend on the internet's not the same thing. I'm like,
it is.
It's totally, fine.
My ex-girlfriend, who I dated for about a year, don't like her now, but
Is she a bitch?
Oh, absolute bitch.
Oh, what a bitch.
Yeah, what such a bitch. Anyway, I won't dwell on that. But we actually started talking. She went to my school, but we actually started talking on Facebook before we actually talked at school. And I think that went on for about 2 months. And then we finally started talking in person. And
so you'd pass each other in school, but
wouldn't even talk.
We wouldn't say hi or anything?
Would not say hi.
That's kind of weird.
It was kind of weird, but I mean, we were both, like, I was 15, she was like 13 or 14.
Okay.
Maybe 14. I don't think it was that creepy. Yeah, it was 16 and 14.
Yeah, okay.
And we were just talking on Facebook, and then we finally started talking in person. We ended up dating for about, I don't even remember, 9-10 months.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was exactly like that. Like, I could tell from when we first started talking on the internet and on text that she was something quite special. and she was something quite different to
Yeah.
everyone else I knew. And it turned out to be exactly that. So it's
I
amazing how much you can tell from people through their internet tone.
You can totally tell. If you use like online, like, even like dating sites and stuff, you someone on Tinder, you know straight away.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like straight away, you're like, I know that this is a person that I dig. And you can tell like very quickly. I don't know. It's weird. It's one of those weird things.
It's amazing. The internet, man.
The internet.
Do you reckon, because you know how you were saying it's a smaller world now than it was, do you think that's a good thing?
Yes and no. Like I said, kids were sort of isolated beforehand, you know, and now you can connect to people who are similar, and that's a positive thing.
Yeah.
I don't like how often and the amount of time we spend online.
Mm-hmm.
That's my New Year's resolution, is to not play on my phone as much.
Yeah.
Is to like turn it off. You don't need to sit there and check your Twitter. Nothing's happened.
It's like when I was on the plane to London, 24 hours basically 24 hours without any internet connection.
And then you get out the
somewhat
airport
therapeutic.
and you're like, what's the Wi-Fi password? And you just got to get your hit.
I was exactly that.
That's what happens. Isn't
Literally
that bad?
getting off the plane, I was like looking for the Wi-Fi and it wasn't available yet. And as I walked down the runway, it was like slowly becoming a bit more available.
That's what's frightening, is that we're so... Now, like,
Addicted.
I'm constantly just like... We were at the table last night and we were going out for drinks and everyone's sitting there...
Yeah.
And it's like... I don't know, you're purporting to be social. Like, I'm uploading a photo, it's a social thing. But it's like now in the process you're being antisocial because the people here in real life are being ignored. I also think that if I was in high school, even like with uni, we didn't have wireless for half of my course.
Yeah.
I think I would struggle a lot. And not just because of the time spent on it, that would detract, you know, my attention away from studying.
Yeah.
But also the level of bullying with kids and stuff. I just think, you know, at a certain age, just put that shit away. You don't... it's so much easier to get into someone's room and into their head. And as a kid, I don't think that would have been good for me. I mean, it's not good for a lot of kids, but I know as the child I was, that I'm so glad I did not have that around.
It definitely is for a lot of kids. It's very tough. I mean, I witness it and I've been victim. I mean, it really doesn't affect me that much. Even in recent times, I had a whole bunch of shit going around about me a couple of weeks ago, basically. Like after school has finished. And seeing all these people that you went to high school with liking it and commenting on it and stuff that you thought were actually people you could get along with and stuff. So it seems to continue a lot for a lot of kids.
Well, I guess because people think because they're a faceless person at their, you know, at their keyboard, they can say whatever they want.
Yeah.
I know when I first started my job at V, one of the hard things was like growing that thick skin because you've got viewers who have opinions. You know, I sit there on the couch and I like tear people to shreds.
Yep.
I then don't go online and repeat those sentiments, but some people choose to do that. And I was now on, you know, the receiving end of some barbed comments.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you write back? And you know, and it was that whole... I was very fortunate in that through the 4 years I was there, it only happened a little bit at the start. I entered via a competition where other people were like, oh, this guy was shit and the other person was better, and my first couple of months were like rough, and who's this new kid? But then like I'm very fortunate in that I kind of flew under the radar. Yeah. You know, and I was lucky, but when I left, and you know, the V Facebook page put up a photo and said farewell, Billy's going, blah blah blah, and there was all these like positive. But then there's like one comment. There's gonna be that one dude who wrote something like, "Good, that guy sucks," and it's like, did you have to go out of your way to be a jerk?
They do.
Like, why? Like,
it's crucial.
I'm gonna be reading that, and that's like, I'm gonna see that. Do you not think about how that'll make someone feel? I don't think we care about each other as much, or maybe we do. We just don't think about it. I don't know. I just think that there's no time for that kind of... Let's just all love one another. And
As
hug.
Nina Las Vegas said, 2014, more positivity, please.
Yeah, really. So it's about positivity.
About positivity. And I definitely agree with that sentiment. I think there needs to be more positivity this year. Because I do think 2013 was a very negative year. Everyone was doing quite amazing things. Miley, for example. Like, if you look at it in pop culture, Miley was doing bullshit cool things. Like, she was top of everyone's tongue. And everyone was hating on her. The reason she was the top of everyone's tongue is because we were hating.
It's true.
And
it was... You're right. She was like put up. Yeah, you're totally right.
And everything you see in the news is all negative stuff, and you know that's what grabs people's attention. So we need to change the culture and make it that the positivity grabs people's attention and the positive side of society.
That's totally right. And that's actually one part of the reason why I wanted to leave my job is I didn't feel like a positive person in there anymore.
Right.
Because for a myriad of reasons actually, but there's like I was known as the grumpy old man in there.
Really?
Like in our... At least we'd have our meetings, our brainstorms, our Tuesday creatives, and I would be like cracking a whip. I'd be a hard ass.
Right.
And it's to do with a lot of reasons, you know, but people have varying degrees of work ethic. And so often you're left frustrated, and I'd walk around with this like cloud over my head.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd be taking names, and it'd be like, that's not who I am. I didn't enter like that. I used to be really happy and smiling all the time. And I want to be positive. And sometimes you need to remove yourself from a space in order to achieve that.
Yeah.
And so now I feel like, like 2014, and I have cried once this year. But
what was the reason?
I came back to Sydney and I finally saw my farewell card, which everyone had. Oh. My boss quoted Morgan Freeman from Shawshank Redemption on that. I did not stand a chance.
But Morgan Freeman's dead, Billy. Remember Morgan Freeman died a few weeks ago.
Rest in peace, Morgan. But you're right, like positivity, man. It's like life's too short to sweat the small stuff, and to say bad things about people. Yeah. Share the love.
Isn't that beautiful?
I'm all about sharing the love.
That's so gorgeous. Hey, just quickly before I leave you, what's been your best interview? Who's been your favourite person, the nicest person that you've managed to have a chat with?
Do you know the nicest? You meet lots of nice people, and like someone like Vance Joy was like one of the loveliest people I've ever met. Not just interviewed, he was so nice. But he's still, early on in his career, and you don't expect him to have the, the sort of trappings of a big ego yet. Yeah. But someone who was incredibly nice, and not that surprising, but just like Lady Gaga was the nicest person in the world. Yeah. She was asking me all these questions when I sat down. She was trying to make me feel like, welcome, and like it's my job to warm her up, and she's doing it to me.
Isn't that amazing?
And just her level of professionalism, where she wanted to stop and make sure that the set, and didn't order anyone to do it. She got up out of her seat and she fixed it all herself and sat down. Then when the interview was sort of wrapped, I just said to her on a personal note, my younger sister had gone through a lot, was a big fan of her, and I was like, I just want to say thank you for helping her through it and all this sort of stuff. And my sister was dressing up as Gaga for her 21st in like a week or two. Yeah. And I was telling her this, like, she loves you, blah, blah, blah. And she goes to the cameraman, she says, excuse me, can you always put that camera back on? And he puts it on, and she just says, like, down the barrel, like this big birthday message to my sister. She's, I wish I could be there to sing for you, and I wish I could party with you, but I can't. But your brother sends his love, and we send our love together, and all this. And then she's like, now you're going to cut that out, and you're going to play it at her party, and she's going to love you forever. And she did that off her own bat. I did not even ask. And I was like, you are so good to the people.
So fast forward to the party. Did you play it to her?
And my sister is bawling. Like, my mum's crying. Oh. And it was so beautiful. And the thing is, she doesn't have to do that for everyone. She totally doesn't have to do that. Yeah. The whole thing, like her and her fans, and people can say it's contrived and it's a marketing thing. I think she's just really lovely.
There's a genuine connection there. And I mean, the thing that I've noticed with musicians that have had a lot of longevity, the nice ones and the genuine ones tend to make it through. Yeah. The ones that have genuine relationships with everyone they encounter. And I think the reason they make it through is because they can have those genuine relationships, not just with their fans, but with their label, their management. Everything can be really nice.
It's true. You and I played a gig last week, and I didn't go, but a friend of mine went and then quoted something Tim Rogers said on stage, where he said, don't make it to the top, there's a lot of wankers there. Which is totally true. There's wankers everywhere, but I think sometimes the people that make it to the top are the ones who are the antidote to the wankers. Yeah. And that's what makes it sort of bearable.
They make it to the top and they stay there for a while, it seems.
Amongst the wankers.
Billy Russell, it has been an absolute pleasure, man.
It's been a pleasure, Nick. Thanks for having me. Just banging on.
It's good, isn't it? We have literally been talking for an hour and 7 minutes.
I love the sound of my own voice.
I love the sound of mine too, so that works well.
I think this is part of the healing process for my next step in life. I'm talking through all of my problems with you, all of my ambitions and worries, and now I feel like I'm going to go and be happy wherever that may take me.
We'll rename it to a bit of therapy.
I need a couch. Does this thing move?
I don't think so.
No, I broke the chair.
I'll remember a couch next time.
Sorry.
Don't let him into your studio and break shit.
It works.
Perfect.